So this week's podcast slash article that we learned about was healthcare and homelessness. Now, this topic was very interesting to me, not something I knew a lot about or thought a lot about before going into this. I live in an area where homelessness really isn't a big prevalence, but obviously I understand in other areas of our state, our country, our world, homelessness is a large problem, as well as their access to healthcare. So, one of the biggest issues that I learned for homelessness and healthcare and their struggle in receiving healthcare is that a lot of homeless people, unfortunately, are not able to get insurance. One of the biggest factors in insurance is having a home address, and a lot of these people do not have that because they do not have a home that they can list for an address. As well as healthcare, a lot of healthcare institutions want an address so they can send you a bill. They know where to reach you at, they know where to send your bills, your receipts, all that stuff to. And if you can't give them that, then unfortunately it is harder to find services. And then there's the social determinants part of homelessness and healthcare. So actually on the website, one of the things that they put is, for the podcast on the website, it's the title. So for the title, they put housing is healthcare. And I really like how they put that. I feel like that is a very good way to put that. Housing, having somewhere warm to go with a roof over your head in the cold winter months, that does a lot in preventing a lot of preventable issues such as hypothermia, frostbite, and those kind of things. So in that way, housing is healthcare. Or in the summer, providing you with a shaded, cooler place to go instead of being exposed to the heat and direct sunshine outside. Being sheltered from winter storm events, summer storm events, just having somewhere to go, somewhere to be safe, covered, and warm and dry, or cooler and dry, whichever you prefer. But there also was a point in the discussion which they talked about how, so obviously homelessness affects healthcare dramatically, but healthcare also affects homelessness. So they gave the statistic that 57.1% of personal bankruptcies were due to medical bills. So obviously this happens from losing your job, therefore you lose your health insurance and you are unable to pay your medical bills out of pocket. Those bills and those services that you need to have done, they just keep adding up until you have to file for bankruptcy and you're in a pile of debt. Eventually, because you can't pay your bills, they will seize your home and you are evicted with a lot of times nowhere to go. And then there becomes the issue of finding somewhere, such as a shelter. That was a big problem during the COVID-19 pandemic because shelters were unable to take large amounts of people as they usually do because there had to be enough room to social distance, enough room to make sure that everybody had their own space and weren't just all congested into one area. So the issue of just finding somewhere to go also becomes very difficult. And even if you do find somewhere to go, you do find a shelter, there's a lot of things transmitted in shelters, such as illnesses like the cold, COVID-19, the flu, skin issues, ringworm, warts, just stuff that you're likely wouldn't encounter in just your own typical home setting, but you're encountering because you're living with all these people. But then you don't have the weatherment issues such as frostbite, heat stroke, and that sort of thing. So homelessness and healthcare have a direct relationship. They are both impact each other greatly. Like I said earlier, a large part of this is insurance, and having insurance to cover your bills, help you pay things, is a large part of this whole thing. So one of the things that I would like to know after listening to this podcast and reading the stuff that they have on their website is how can people like me and our community help combat this? Because I know that I wouldn't want to see members of my community just stuck in that place where they can't receive healthcare because they can't pay for it. They don't have anywhere warm and dry to go. That would honestly, it breaks my heart. And I want to know what I can do to help.